shares in Reddit jumped more than 55% in the first few minutes after it started trading on the New York Stock Exchange. The self-described front page of the internet had priced its initial public offering at $34 US. Reddit's long-awaited entry as a publicly traded company has been in the works for more than 2 years. The eyeball-grabbing debut will be a major test of the IPO market and test the social media site's ability to overcome a nearly 20-year history of losses. Reddit soared in its Wall Street debut today as investors pushed the value of the company close to $9 billion US, seconds after it began trading on the New York Stock Exchange.
I think the IPO markets are open. This is a great example of a company that has spent a couple of years focusing on their business, refining their strategy, and they are getting a warm welcome by the public markets today. It's great.
Reddit debuted Thursday afternoon at $47 a share, $13 higher than its initial price. The stock closed up 48% at $50.44. The IPO will test the company's ability to overcome a nearly 20-year history of uninterrupted losses, management turmoil, and user backlash.
Reddit is nothing without our users and communities. And I think that's the beautiful thing about Reddit is they tell it like it is. But you have to remember, they're doing that on Reddit. And it's a platform they love. It's their home on the internet.
The interest surrounding Reddit stems mainly from a large audience that religiously visits the service to discuss a melting pot of subjects that range from silly memes to existential worries, as well as to get recommendations and gossip. About 76 million users checked into one of Reddit's roughly 100,000 communities in December. As for its foray into trading publicly, the company set aside up to $1.76 million of 15.3 million shares being offered in the IPO for Reddit users. Per the usual custom, the remaining shares are expected to be bought primarily by mutual funds and other institutional investors betting Reddit is ready for prime time in finance.
In this IPO, yes, we invited a number of our users and have a healthy retail component beyond that. And our goal there was to bring in, I think as is the ethos of Reddit, level the playing field, bring people in on the same terms that professional investors would.
Reddit's money-making potential has attracted some prominent supporters, including OpenAI CEO Sam Altman, who accumulated a stake as an early investor that has made him one of the company's biggest shareholders with 12.2 million shares of stock. But by tech industry standards, Reddit remains extraordinarily small for a company that has been around as long as it has. Today's opening debut valuation of $9 billion, for example, is still far below the $1.2 trillion market value boasted by Meta Platforms, whose biggest social media service, Facebook, was started just 18 months earlier than Reddit. To chat more about this, we're joined by tech expert Carmi Levy. Carmi, you've been following Reddit as it's moved closer to its IPO. The site has been around for just shy of 20 years, so why now? What's the catalyst for going public?
They've kind of reached a fork in the road. They're incredibly popular, something like 267 million weekly average users. It is known as kind of like the town square of the internet, where you can still have substantive conversations with experts. It's where you go for advice. The repository that's left behind, the archives of conversations are a go-to source for anyone looking for tech insight. And so it really is it's almost like an undiscovered jewel of the internet, and they've reached a point in their history where you've got to go one way or the other. They've never turned a profit. They've never figured out truly how to monetize all of that potential, and they've reached a point where if they want to continue to survive as they have to change their model. They have to start making money, and this is how they do it. You go public, you gain access to the resources that you obtain from that process, and then you use those resources to fund whatever improvements that you need to make. So it's essentially a massive inflection point in the history of the company, and they have no choice. Otherwise, they would simply fade away into oblivion.
As you mentioned, Reddit has yet to turn a profit, but companies like Meta and X have been public for years. So how does Reddit differ from them, not in making money, but in the online space?
It's almost like the company that never failed to reach its potential. So Facebook, now Meta, was founded about a year and a half before Reddit came along. Twitter now X, was founded a couple of years afterward, and arguably both of them have become significantly larger, have become the standard bearers in social media, whereas Reddit has kind of, essentially flatlined since then, isn't really part of the cultural conversation around technology. Ask most people who've never heard of Reddit, who aren't already in the know, and it is essentially an unknown quantity to them. So, it's almost like a tier 2 social media platform that never quite achieved its potential. And so they want another kick at the can. They realize that there's still potential there, and they want to try something different to, change their business model, get the investment that they need, and earn their rightful place in the circle of social media companies that we all know offhand.
A lot of people are going to be watching to see if Reddit's IPO succeeds or fails. What does it mean for the tech space on either side of the coin?
The fact that this is the first major tech IPO in the space in a very long time is very instructive because, thanks to the pandemic, thanks to economic headwinds, the tech industry has really not been a kind of a focus for this kind of investment activity in recent years. And so it really is, it's almost like the Pied Piper. Everyone's looking to the Reddit IPO as an example of which way the broader tech industry is going to go next. So if this takes flight, if investors buy in, if the share value increases, if their first quarterly results are positive, this will send a positive message to the rest of the tech industry, and we can expect to see more IPOs. And certainly the tech industry is kind of like the canary in the coal mine for the broader economy. It sends a message that despite the turbulence we're seeing in the broader economy, the technology industry sees positive signs ahead. If it's a little bit darker, that's a whole other story. And so really the future of Reddit is a bit of a mirror into the future of the tech industry and, frankly, the broader economy.
Anyone who's been on Reddit knows the site has seen very few changes since its 2005 debut. It also has a very passionate user base. Should the IPO succeed and changes come to the website, will users be receptive to that?
Reddit is one of the most passionately loved properties on the internet, and certainly as we saw last year with the controversy around moderators, they were protesting, their desire to get paid, the way the company was run, the way they were overseen by the company in their volunteer activities. Anytime you make any change to the way things are done, the way the app looks and works, the way the website loads, even the way the subreddits are structured. You've got an entire community out there that is absolutely willing and able to protest and tell you what they really think. And so that could slow down the company as it tries to make those changes to become more relevant. There's a lot of legacy there. And unfortunately, to kind of drive changes through when your users are that passionate, that deeply rooted, could be a bit of a difficult road for the company.
Well, we'll have to see how it goes for them. Thank you so much for explaining this to us tonight on Trending Now, Carmi.
Appreciate being here, Nicole. Thank you.